So, in the last session, we started talking about Brahma Purana. Today is the fourth session. Yesterday, we didn't have it due to Mahashivratri. So, last week, we saw in all the sessions covered till now, for the initial two sessions, we saw an introduction to the Puranas. What exactly are the Puranas? What are their? What do they contain? The contents of the Puranas. What is the importance of Puranas? And then last week we have started looking at the first Purana, Brahma Purana. Now, as I told you all in the previous sessions too, there is nothing like a certain order of the Puranas, because so you cannot say that this Purana is first, then some other Purana come. Of course, there are some datings. Yeah, there are a few calculations, there are a few dates that are told. So that I think for the Brahma Purana I've told you, but all these dates you can take it with a pinch of salt, because you cannot, the time period that is given is an approx. So say for example between so and so century period, for example 4th 10th century, something like that. So even in history also, if you see, the exact dates are for very few events. Usually it is given, a time period is given, so that is within the span of a few years so and so incident has taken place. So all this again, it is the same with regards to the Puranas also. So we started looking at the introduction of what exactly does the Brahma Purana contain, what does it mainly talk about. Then I think towards the end of the session last week, I told you what exactly the first story of the Brahma Purana had started. So today we will discuss, I'll tell you a few important incidents and a few stories from the Brahma Purana which have become very famous. So the last time we saw that Brahma is a creator. Now mainly, though Brahma Purana, the name is about Brahma, it does not mainly talk only about Brahma. There is some reference to Brahma too, but Brahma Purana does not whole and soul talk about Brahma. So initially we saw that Brahma had risen from the navel, that is from the lotus, navel sitting on a lotus, navel of Vishnu, and during the period of Pralaya, when all the creations, everything had got destroyed, Vishnu told Brahma to create this entire world. This is called Visarga Srishti. Now we have to remember one thing, that whenever Vishnu, it is said so, that because Brahma is born from the navel of Vishnu, that does that mean that Brahma should only be given the full credit of creating the world? The world has already been created by Vishnu. For example, the creator himself has been created by Lord Vishnu, but we are all the Visarga Srishti. So there will be something called the earth, sun, gods, heaven, and one creator, that is Lord Brahma. All this has already been designed by Vishnu. Further, the creation that has to be done, and that is from mankind, human beings, living creatures, natural things like trees, forest, and so on. All that creation was done by Brahma. So though we say that the creator is Lord Brahma, this is called Visarga Srishti. Srishti has already been created by Lord Vishnu. It already exists. Visarga Srishti is to add more contents to it. Now we buy a particular thing or so, but then we try to decorate it, right? So to look more, especially during the times of Ganesh Chaturthi or during Navratri and so on, we buy a Ganesha idol, but we don't keep it as it is. You do a lot of decoration, right? But during the Navratri time also, when we keep all the dolls there, we do a lot of other decoration. So that is Visarga Srishti. I'm just giving you an example for easy understanding. So Brahma started with the creation that we saw, and then further we see that now initially we all know Brahma has got 4 heads, right? 4 heads representing the 4 Vedas. But initially it was said that Brahma had a 5th head also. Now this 5th head, some people say that it looked like a donkey's head. And many times it used to go, and that is the 5th face of Brahma, it used to go and it used to go and support the demons. When the gods and the demons had a war with each other, this 5th head of Brahma used to go and join the demons party and used to fight against gods. So all the gods had a problem. Brahma's 5th head is going and joining the party of demons, and he's fighting against us. So this is a problem for us. Now please remember, these are all Puranic stories. So how far it can be true, can this really happen? It is mentioned in the Puranas, so we take it as it is. I'm sharing the same with you. Now this is one reference. A few other references regarding the 5th head of Brahma say that this 5th head of Brahma had so much of brightness, that is we call Tejas, that people could not even look at it properly. And therefore it said that it is not needed at all, it has to be removed. Now who will remove it? Brahma. Everyone went to Vishnu and said that you please cut off Brahma's head, and it's causing too much of confusion and trouble. We cannot even look at it properly, it is so bright, our eyes are burning. Then sometimes this fifth head, it's in the shape of a donkey, it goes and joins the demon's army, it's fighting against us. So our own god fighting against the demons, this is not suitable again. So then Vishnu said that I can do this if you want, I can do this as you say, but if I cut the head will fall on the earth and it will destroy the earth because it is Brahma's head. So I cannot do this. You go and pray to Lord Shiva, maybe he can find out some other way. So all the gods go and they approach Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, he agreed. Now usually if you see, Shiva is the one who lives. Now to this, you might have a, what is the philosophy behind all this? The reason is that now whenever all these Puranic stories or even the Ramayana, Mahabharata stories come, we have to not take them as it is. Like there is some philosophy behind it, some thought process behind it. What is that? Now with regards to Vishnu, now is it so that Vishnu cannot do this act? Is it that Shiva is physically stronger than Vishnu? No, all gods are equal. Then why did Vishnu say this? Because Vishnu is the one. Now usually whenever we do Vishnu worship also, we don't, now just Shivratri yesterday took place. Now you see many people, we buy a lot of bhasma, we do a lot of abhishekana. Usually all of us, we do normal puja. But then for Shivratri especially, you have some certain special fruits, flowers, leaves that are offered. So especially during the Shivratri times, you'll find all this in the market that is kept usually for puja purpose. So usually the things that we offer for Lord Shiva, it's not commonly used for other puja purposes, right? Like some special fruit. You can call them wild fruits, right? And even Shiva is a person who lives in Smashana Bhumi. He lives all around, he's surrounded all around with dead bodies, and the same bhasma he applies all over his body. We know the famous Jyotirlinga, Mahakaleshwara, right? So there you have the famous bhasma arti that is done. So whereas in case of Vishnu, you would have never heard about such things. Vishnu is like normal, you take a book, you offer some tulsi patram, lotus flower, or so you read some Vishnu Sahasranama and he's happy. Now this is not to show a comparison, but just to show the nature of all the gods that are there. So Vishnu felt that I am not used to killing anyone. Though I have killed a lot of demons, especially in the Krishna Avatara we see, right from the time he is born, he has to face all demons. But still he feels that Vishnu, to cut out someone's head and such things, and I cannot see all that, I am not so used to doing all that. But for Lord Shiva, he can do that very easily because he lives in a smashana only. So he is used to seeing dead bodies and everything all around him. Now all of us also, say for example, now how this is compared I will tell you. With our own life, you need not compare it between gods. Now all of us, if we are in between sick people, or maybe now all of us, we cannot go and visit a hospital every day, right? Or you cannot live, every day some person dies, you go and visit that person. Every day it doesn't happen. Maybe in a year or so, maybe 5 or 10 dead bodies we might come across. Someone dies, we go and visit. Usually nowadays what we do is, the day on which a person dies, we don't go. Maybe we go on the next day or on the 10th day, something like that we go, right? So we are not used to seeing a dead body every day, or maybe we are not used to see a sick person, or we don't go and visit a hospital every day, right? Whereas a doctor, if you take, it is common for him to see someone sick. His place is the hospital, to see dead bodies. All this is because the doctor is used to it. So same is applied even here in the case of Vishnu and Shiva. So this is one explanation. Now this is just one interpretation that is done. You can interpret it in any way that you want. So therefore Vishnu said that no, you go and tell Shiva. He is used to, he will do all this easily. He can do the Tandava Nritya and he can just cut off Brahma's fifth head. So all the gods agreed. They go and approach Lord Shiva and say that this is what has to be done. But once you cut that, so Shiva agreed to do this. But then now the gods remember. Now Shiva is Ashutoshi, we know. You tell him something, he will do it immediately without thinking about anything further. That is why you see all the Asuras pray to Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Because both Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, whatever you ask, they will give you the boon immediately. Whereas no Asura prays to Lord Shiva. So the enemies of Asuras are Vishnu, and usually the Bhaktas. The Bhakta of Shiva and Brahma are the Asuras. Because Brahma and Shiva, they don't consider who is in front of me. Now the Lord also does not consider, but of course Vishnu considers someone doing dharma, adharma. For Lord Shiva and Brahma, only bhakti matters. So that's why Shiva is called Ashutoshi. So Shiva said, okay, you tell me to cut the head, I'll go and do that. he does not think about the further consequences. So all the gods assembled there, they remember what Vishnu had told, that if this head falls on the earth, it will cause a lot of destruction on the earth. All the people and all the living creation on the earth will vanish. So what will you do then? So immediately they pop out this question to Vishnu saying that, to Shiva saying that, what will happen? What will you do with the head? So then what if the earth does not bear it and so on? So what will you do? So there Shiva said, don't worry on that. Once I cut off the head, I will bear it on my own head. On my jata itself, I will bear it. All of you, you don't worry on that. This is what Shiva tells, and he goes away. Now finally Shiva goes, he cuts Brahma's fifth head, and the place that where he did this was called Rudra Tirtha. And from that day onwards, Brahma has got 4 heads. He's called the Chaturmukha or Chaturanana. And based on this, on the banks of the Gautami, there is a river called Gautami that flows through India. There we have a temple. So you can consider that to be Pushkar temple in Rajasthan. So where this place is there. And it is said that a killer, now because Shiva had killed here Lord Brahma, one head of Lord Brahma, though he did not have the intention of killing Brahma, but still it had to be done for a cause. But still, killing someone is wrong. So therefore Shiva, he also visited a temple in South India where he goes and he clears off all his sins. The reason being because he had killed Lord Brahma. So the first story of the Brahma Purana talks about how Brahma got his 4 heads. He had an extra head that was cut off by Lord Shiva, and that gave rise to the temple. That is the Pushkar temple in Rajasthan, and that's how Brahma has got 4 heads from that day till now. And it is said that people who go and visit this, that's why the Pushkar, many people, you would have gone there. Pushkar, this place itself has become a very important pilgrimage center for all the devotees. Okay. Now we move on to the next story. Now usually in the Puranas, if you see, there will be no interconnection. Like for example, I told you this before too. Between some stories, there will be no interconnection at all. That is, for example, the Ramayana. It talks about Rama is born, then Rama gets married, Vishwamitra comes, then Rama gets married, then Rama goes to the forest, then Sita is abducted. So it's a series. Like, it's not that something pops up in the middle. Okay, now today they are talking about Rama, next chapter they talk about Krishna. It doesn't happen that way. So a certain order is followed because it is a proper story. But Puranas, as I told you, they are encyclopedic in nature. They are encyclopedic in nature. So therefore, they will give us a lot of information. Of course, information is given in the form of stories. But that doesn't mean that everything will be in order. So therefore, one story, one incident ends, something else is mentioned. Because you see, I told you earlier that the Puranas were a compilation of almost 1 to 4 crores of verses. And that's how, I think more than 1 crore verses, that's how Vyasa has brought it down to 4 lakh verses in the form of all the 18 Puranas and 18 Upapuranas. So, so much amount of information Vyasa has compiled in his text. Okay, further we move on. Trishanku's story. Next is Trishanku. We know about that.
Lakshmi, sorry, one second. That is that Pushkar Ladan vandu Shiva, that is Lord Shiva, he gets the Brahmahati doshama.
Brahmarati dosham he gets in heaven only. In Pushkar only the temple in praise of Lord Brahma is created. That's it. So Shiva did not get any dosha as such, but yes, to do the whatever he had killed Brahma, so killing someone, that to killing a god like Brahma, the creator of the world. Therefore he goes and he takes bath in heaven. In South India, he visits a temple and he takes bath there, and he worships Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, everyone there. Mumurti. That's a place in South India. I cannot recollect the name of the temple. I'll tell you that. So there he goes and visits us in Tamil Nadu. I think it is somewhere near Trichy district in Tamil Nadu. But the temple, Brahma temple, is there in Pushkar. That is just constructed in praise of Lord Brahma. Okay. So next we move on. Next is the story of Trishanku. Now who was Trishanku? Let's see. Now again the Brahma Purana also to some extent, it again talks about Shiva Vishnu unity without talking much about Brahma. So this is one important feature that has to be noted. There are many Puranas who give this reference, but again, very nice. Tanjavur, sorry. Harashapa Vimochana temple in Tanjavur, correct. Hara Shapa Vimochana. Haraha is Lord Shiva. His Shapa, his curse, or you can say the dosha that he got after cutting off Brahma's fifth head, that was taken away. I don't remember I told this in some session or what. I don't remember exactly. Okay, so this was that, I think in the Vishnu Sahasranama stories, somewhere I told this. Okay, so Harashapa Vimochana in Tanjavur district. This is that temple wherein Shiva went there, he took a bath. This is the only temple in Tanjavur district, or you can consider almost in India, where we have Murti, all the three Murtis, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva worship together. Next time anyone makes a trip to Tanjavur, you can go and visit this temple. Okay, so further moving on to the story. So I was talking about Vishnu Shiva unity, that has also again been mentioned in the Brahma Purana to some extent, not much in detail, but yes, to some extent. But a very common topic that is covered in all the Puranas is this unity, not only between Shiva and Vishnu, but between different philosophies, different worships that are done. But mainly why we know, or why this Shiva Vishnu unity has become popular, because today we have rites, you can say rites, RIOTS, lot of differences between Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Even today we have people who worship only Lord Shiva, we have people who worship only Lord Vishnu. Especially in Tirupati, if you go, they are staunch devotees of Vaishnavas. They are staunch devotees of Vishnu only. It's not that they don't worship Shiva, but there are still, even today we find a lot of people who worship only Vishnu and they will dread Shiva. The other way around, the Shaivites will worship only Shiva and they will dread Vishnu. So, though now based on our own family tradition, we do say, okay, I belong to a Shaivite family, I belong to a Vaishnavite family. Especially people living in Gujarat, they have this, we are Vaishnavas and so on. But that again has got nothing to do with Shaivism, Vaishnavism and so on. But yes, this still exists, and Brahma Purana, many other Puranas remove all this confusion that is there between Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Okay, next we move on with the story of Trishanku. Now, there was a king called Trayaruni. He was a very good king. He used to take care of his subjects. All the problems of the subjects were solved. But he had a son called Satyavrata. He was the exact opposite. Now usually we can see this even in the Surya Vamsha, if you see, and even in the Soma Vamsha, Prithu and Vena. Prithu, Srimad Bhagavata, you get this reference. Prithu, Vena, his father, was an evil king. Prithu is again considered to be an Amshavatara of Lord Vishnu himself. Not a Purna Avatara like Lord Krishna, but an Amshavatara. So Vena, the king, the father of Prithu, was a very evil king. That's why the goddess Earth itself had hid inside, and she used to not provide anything for the people, because all the food grains and everything that she bore, that was used for evil activities by the king Vena. So after Vena died, his son Prithu came in, and Prithu saw that the earth is not bearing anything, the earth is not providing all the fruit, all its food grains, etc. It's not growing anything for the people. So why so? Prithu Maharaja, he had considered, we know Prithvi, how she got her name, because later Prithu considered the earth to be her daughter. So Prithu at that time, he goes and he questions the earth, saying that why are you doing this? If you do this, I will come and I'll shoot an arrow and kill you. It will lead to your destruction. Earth says, don't do that. If you kill me, it's not that you kill only me, but all the living creatures who are there, including human beings, animals and everything. So then Prithu asks the reason that why you don't want this to happen. Why are you not doing this? So at that time, Prithu, the earth goddess Bhuma Devi, she gives an answer saying that your father Vena, he was very bad, and he had used all my produce, food grains, etc. for doing all kinds of bad activities. So that is the reason I stopped producing anything. So then Prithu assures her that I will ensure that nothing is being done. I will use all your produce for the well-being of my people. So that's how. So the thing I'm telling is, usually with regards to kings, one king, so if the father is good, the son is bad, or sometimes the father is bad, the son is good. This we can see in all our different scriptures. Similarly here, there was a king called Trayaruni who was very good, very righteous. His son Satyavrata was not that good. So he was the exact opposite. And this Trayaruni, he was a part of some references say that he was a part of the Surya Vamsha because his family priest was Vasishta. But in the Surya Vamsha, even if you churn out again Srimad Bhagavatam, if you churn out the ancestry of Surya Vamsha, again if you read out the Raghuvamsham written by Kalidasa, at least from my side, I could not find any reference to Trayaruni. So Therefore, did he really belong to Surya Vamsha? There is no proof on that. But some people claim because his royal priest, his family priest was sage Vasishta, and because Vasishta was also the family priest of Rama, that is a Surya Vamsha, Raghu Vamsha, it can be a possibility that Trayaruni was a Surya Vamshi. So these are just again some opinions that are made. Whatever you want, you can consider. So there was this king Trayaruni whose family priest was Vasishta. So Vasishta advised again that if this one person is causing trouble, this evil son should be banished from the kingdom. He should not stay in the kingdom because of this one Satyavrata, the entire kingdom is going to be affected. Trayaruni accepted this, and then consequently the Satyavrata, the son, was pushed away from the kingdom, and he started to live with Chandalas. Chandalas are not normal human beings, like so-called beggars or so, Bhuta Preta Pishachadi, someone you can consider from that category, not normal human beings. So the Satyavrata went out, he had a very bad company, and after some time, Trayaruni, he became old and he left the forest, that is Sannyasa Ashrama. Now, the kingdom, now after Trayaruni is gone, his son has to ascend the throne, but the Satyavrata has been banished, he was on the evil path. Now the kingdom had no king, and now when a kingdom does not have a king, when a place does not have a leader, it is going to lead to destruction. So now, the absence of the king was so severe that for 12 years continuously it led to a drought-like condition. Drought. So nothing to eat, nothing was there, everything was just dry around, all the people were suffering. So at that time what happens is that Vishwamitra, at this time he was not a sage, he was a king. So it was during that time that Vishwamitra, this period when Vishwamitra realized that I should stop living the life of a king and I should go and attain sannyasa, become a sage. So he left behind his wife, children, and he went on the shores to do some tapasya. So Vishwamitra, he came near this place, and there was drought conditions all around, famine, people were starving. So Vishwamitra, she said that now Vishwamitra, his entire family also was living in the same area. So at this time, Vishwamitra's wife, what she decided is that let me sell my son. Now even today it happens, we have something called child trafficking, right, or human trafficking, wherein people, even till date we see it is a very sorry state of affairs, but still people, especially you can say like poor people or people who are not at all educated, they still sell their children, right, so for getting money. So or we steal, so many kidnapping cases, why they happen? A child is kidnapped and then they call you saying that you give me so much money, your child will be released. So such things, the same reference you find in the Puranas also. So that is the reason why it is said in the Mahabharata, Yadi nasti tadanyatra tannehasti natat kvachit. It is whatever has happened and mentioned in the Mahabharata, the same we can see even till date. And whatever has got no reference in it, that we cannot see anywhere. Reason being, the Mahabharata is so long, more than 1 lakh verses. So all kinds of good and bad things have been mentioned. There is nothing which is mentioned there which will never happen. So therefore, the same thing now. The Puranas, if you consider, they are 4 lakh verses, quite more than the Mahabharata. So whatever incidents have been mentioned here, the same, if not the exact same. Like for example, today I told you Vishwamitra's wife, she was selling her son. Today we don't see everyone selling their sons also, but yes, some incidents of human trafficking, child kidnapping we do find. So there are references. So when we say that our Puranas, our scriptures, our culture, everything is outdated, whatever has been mentioned there, the same series of things we see today, only thing is we cannot interpret and compare anything because we don't know about the contents of the Mahabharata and the Puranas. Mahabharata, if you consider, there are so many incidents like this. Draupadi Vastrapaharanam. Those times Draupadi, the woman, was attacked. Today we see so many cases of attacks on women. Further, the Kaurava Pandava, the Yuddha itself happened because of the property dispute between both the brothers for the kingdom. Today we see property disputes between brothers for their own houses, right? So like that, each and everything, if you consider, now let's not get deep into that. So like this, the same incidents we see even today, but only thing is the fights, it was a yuddha then, a battlefield. Today we have court cases. It was a kingdom then, today we have for flats, houses, bungalows and so on. Draupadi, she was, her clothes were removed in the kingdom, inside the main palace. or Vastraharanam was done. Today the same thing is done on roads and other public places. So the same thing we can see. So that's how things have been connected. So this is one more reason why it is said that we must learn our old books. We must learn what has been mentioned in our scriptures, Puranas and so on. Reason being, whatever we see around today, the same thing we can find in our own scriptures. So today when we very proudly we boast about saying that the world is so modern, I am so modern and so on, actually our texts and all that is so modern because everything has been mentioned there. Like I had given you one more example of the payasa, that when during the Putrakameshti Yajna, when the payasa comes out, Valmiki mentions that the payasa is in a silver bowl with a golden lid. If Valmiki had not known science, if he had not known the properties of gold, that it retains, it is a good conductor of heat, and silver it cools down. This is mentioned by Valmiki properly because he wanted to show that the temperature of the payasa is properly maintained so that the queens can consume the payasa immediately. He could have just mentioned a pot. He did not do so. He mentions everything in detail as it had taken place. So the Ramayana, if people then did not know about science, if they did not know the properties of gold and silver, they would have never mentioned that there. First is the people living in the Ramayana times were educated. They knew about everything. Further, even Valmiki was educated. It's not that he is just a sage, just a Sanskrit poet. He had to know the properties of science. That is the reason why he could mention that there. And further to all the readers, in fact, we are the ones who boast about when we say, I'm so modern, we know about everything. If you read that, if someone does not come, and now even I myself also am telling you here, I had learnt it from someone, so the same I'm sharing you, right? If someone had not told me this, okay, why this is a reason, I would just go about reading, okay, maybe Valmiki wanted to just mention a silver pot with a golden lid. That is not so. I'll give you one more reference for this because, okay, Brahma Purana is on the side, but still, one more reason I'll tell you. In the Ramayana, again, Valmiki Ramayana, it has been mentioned that, anyone knows the shloka when Rama was born? Chaitre Navamyam Tithau, that shloka. Does anyone know from the Ramayana? No?
No.
Chaitra Masam Navamyam Dwadashe Mase comes there, right? So there, what has been mentioned is that Dwadashe Mase on the 12th month after consuming the payasa, Rama was born. As per modern science, we know that only 9 months a child is there in the stomach. Maximum, that is almost 36 to 38 weeks. In extreme cases, it can be 40 weeks. That is also very, very extreme cases. So, that is almost 10 months, I saw. But here in the Ramayana, it is mentioned that Kaushalya bore Rama for 12 months. Why it is so? 12 months. Is there any reason behind this? Is anyone aware? No?
In Krishna Avatar it was 8 months, no? So I think
To make up for that?
Rama Avatar, I think according to the lunar calendar, it is not according to the calendar we know today. So according to lunar calendar, it becomes 12 months.
But as per the lunar solar calendar, it cannot be a difference of 3 months, right? Not so much of difference. No. I'll tell you a reason behind this. Because all our books, again, as per medical science, what it is said so is 9 months the child lives in the womb of the mother. Only that is considered. From that time, now let's get a bit into medical science. From the time the male's sperm goes and meets the female's egg, that's when it's known. You go and take the test and say, no, she's 1 month pregnant, 2 months pregnant, 3 months pregnant. Right? That's when the doctor tells you that. 9 months the child lives inside the womb of the mother. Only that is considered. But do you know there is a medical science behind this? Maybe if there are some doctors you can guide more. It takes 3 months for the male genital organ, that is the sperm. Now there are many sperms that are released, right? Every month or whenever the parents try in, it's every time the sperm is released. But not all sperms go and meet the egg, right? There is only a certain, that's why every time you try, it's not that every day a child is born or every year children are not given birth, right? There are so many people we see today, so many years we tried, no, the lady, we are not getting pregnant, children are not being born, there are fertility issues. Why is this so? Sperm is being released by the male, but not everything goes and meets the egg. Why so? There is a reason for this, because the sperm which has to go and meet the egg, that is which ultimately results in childbirth, it takes 3 months for the sperm to go and meet the egg. This is what is said so. So the Ramayana considers this too, the 3 months, though it does not cause any change in the body of the woman, no change in the body of the man, then it is not known at all. But as per medical science, this is said so. This nobody considered. I have not studied medical science. I don't know whether it is mentioned there. But as per the Ramayana, it is mentioned. And when I studied it, I had come across this reference saying that not all sperms go and meet the egg, but the sperm which goes and meets the egg, finally when it goes and meets, it takes a process of 3 months. The Ramayana considers the contribution of the father and mother both together equally. Today we have a lot of feminism, and then today I don't know if you have come across this. People earlier used to say, the woman used to say, I am pregnant, but today people together say, no, we are pregnant. They make that so-called captions, this, that and all, right? And social media and everything is there. Ramayana times talked about the same. That's why the contribution of Dasharatha also has been equally mentioned there. Therefore, Chaitre Chudvadashe Mase Navamyam. Rama comes on the Navami Tithi in the Chaitra Masa. That is the reason why Kaushalya bore him for 12 months. So not only the contribution of Kaushalya, but even the contribution of Dasharatha. That is right from the time the child was there, that also has been mentioned. Now how did Valmiki know this? If you argue on that, 9 months from the time when Rama was born, 9 plus 12, that is exactly 1 year process has been mentioned. So this is what, there are different references like this. I am giving you a few examples just to show that whatever has been mentioned in our texts, that is very much true. Only thing is we need to study that properly. Okay, further coming back to Brahma Purana now. So this Vishwamitra's wife, she decided to sell her son, because she told that the things are very much poor now in this kingdom. If we have to survive, even my husband Vishwamitra also has gone out for tapas now. I must see what must be done. So what she did is she tied a rope with along her son's neck, and she told, like we take dogs, goats and so on. She did the same thing with her son, and she sold her son in exchange for 1,000 cows. Now this is what you can say that life does us when it puts us in trouble, that to extreme trouble, that a mother had to sell her son for 1,000 cows. And Satyavrata came to know this, that Vishwamitra is living in this, and at this time onwards he told that no, Vishwamitra, this person, he knew that now Vishwamitra and Vasishtha, initially they had an enmity with each other, and Satyavrata, the son of the king Trayaruni, he said he knew that okay, Vasishtha is my family priest, so automatically he is my father's friend, family priest, therefore I should have some enmity with him. So he decided to support the enemy of Vasishtha, that is Vishwamitra. And so at this point he tries to help the family of Vishwamitra. So now Vishwamitra, so he goes and there he starts to take care of this son of Vishwamitra who was sold. And when there was famine everywhere, it is said that Satyavrata at this time he comes and he steals Vasishtha's cow. Now Vasishtha had a cow that was stolen by this Satyavrata, and then he killed the cow, and it is said that this meat was served to Vishwamitra's sons, and apart from it he also ate it. So this was all the things that he used to do. He used to kill cows, Go Hatya dosham, all kinds of dosha, Brahmana Hatya dosham, all kinds of doshas were there on the Satyavrata. And at this time he had also, the Vishwamitra's wife had sold her son. So this son also was being taken care of by Satyavrata. He also taught him all different things like eating cow's meat and so on. Now Vasishtha, he got very angry when he heard about this incident, that how come you steal my cow? You not only stole it, at the same time you cut and ate its meat also. He cursed Satyavrata, saying that you have committed 3 sins. 3 sins is Shanku. 3 sins, 3 Shanku. That's how the name he had come. Firstly, now what are the 3 sins? Firstly, you did not have a good bond with your father. You have troubled your father a lot, which ultimately led you to banishment. Trayaruni. This is your first sin. Secondly, you have stolen and killed a cow. Go Hatya dosham. Thirdly, you have eaten beef, which should never be eaten. Even non-vegetarians also now, most of us now here, we are vegetarians, we don't know. But still there are even non-vegetarians also, they don't eat beef. Like nobody should eat cow's beef, right? So people even who consume beef and other things, they don't eat cow's meat, etc. Cow has to be worshipped by all people. So that too beef and other things, it has to never be eaten. So you have committed 3 sins, and because of these 3 sins, you will be known as Trishanku from today. So the Satyavrata came out to be known as Trishanku. Shanku in Sanskrit means sins. 3 is 3, Trayaha. So Trishanku, the one who had committed 3 sins. Satyavrata, however, he had taken care of Vishwamitra's family, and Vishwamitra, once he returned back, he was very happy. So during my tapasya, you have taken care of my family, you supported my family and so on. So now I will take care of you. And he decided to give him a boon. He said, now from this Trishanku, he got a curse from Vasishtha, but now he is getting a boon from Trishanku. So then what he did is that Trishanku, he asked that I must go to heaven in my own physical body. This is what the boon that he had asked, that without marana, without death, I must directly ascend to heaven. So Vishwamitra's prayers, Vishwamitra's powers, he had just done tapasya and come back. So this yogic prowess, even this impossible task could be done. Trishanku was directly sent to heaven in the physical. One minute, let me complete, then you speak. Yeah. So then Trishanku, it is said that there in heaven where Trishanku went, so basically there Vishwamitra with his powers, he built another kingdom for Trishanku, just like the same that Trayaruni was ruling about, because on earth Trayaruni, Satyavrata, could not get a chance to rule over his father's kingdom. So there it is said in heaven there was now heaven always does not mean only happiness. There are different Satyaloka, Maharloka, 7 heavens that are told. So in one of the heavens, Vishwamitra created a kingdom for this Trishanku. He lived there happily, he ruled over that place, and Vishwamitra became his chief priest. So this is what is the story of Trishanku. Further, there are many stories that happened with the case of Trishanku, that again from heaven he was pushed down because Vasishtha did not like it. So that's how Vishwamitra, Vasishtha both had their dispute, and ultimately Vishwamitra realizes that no, Trishanku is wrong, I am supporting a wrong person. And then Vishwamitra, he becomes the disciple of sage Vasishtha, it is said, and Vishwamitra also becomes a Brahma Rishi. So this is all the later part of the story. Main what we find in the Brahma Purana is the story of Trishanku till here that he is made the king by Vishwamitra. Divyaji, speak.
Okay, so you had said in the beginning that you were not sure whether it is from the Surya Vamsha or the Chandra, this one. This story is mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana in the Balakanda, where, this guy, Vishwamitra...
Yes, Trishanku, about Satyavrata, it is mentioned that he is from the Surya Vamsha. But with regards to Trayaruni, it is not mentioned. Now, obviously, if Trishanku is a part of the Surya, now this Trishanku and Vishwamitra's incident is mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana. But we find no reference of Trayaruni in the Valmiki Ramayana, because it has been taken from Brahma Purana. Therefore, we cannot conclude. Now, as per references I am saying, as per book, now if you ask some proof, evidence or so, we cannot conclude whether Trayaruni was directly... Now, if we say that Trayaruni was also a part of Surya Vamsha, immediately we can question who was Trayaruni's father, right? So that is not again mentioned in the Surya Vamsha. Whereas in the case of Trishanku, you will have Trishanku's father's name is mentioned. So therefore, Trishanku's story comes in the Ramayana because it has got reference to Vasishtha and Vishwamitra. But again, is there any mention saying that he belonged to the Surya Vamsha?
Yeah, so basically it says that so when Vishwamitra is doing tapas, and then this guy is cursed by Vasishtha, and then he goes to Vishwamitra and he says that he wants to go to heaven in the current body, which is obviously not allowed, and then Vishwamitra, through the power of his tapas, lifts him. Then he goes and Indra pushes him down. Then Vishwamitra creates another heaven in between the two worlds for Trishanku. This is completely mentioned. So so then we refer to the Ramayana only, the
So this, that's what I said. This incident is mentioned, but nowhere directly it is mentioned that they belong to the Surya Vamsha, especially in case of Trayaruni. But yes, as per references, now if you see, it must be obvious, we can consider that he belonged to the Surya Vamsha only, because Vasishtha, he was a priest of Surya Vamsha. So as you said, it can be there. Yeah. Okay. Next we move on. Next is the story of Prithu. I just talked about Prithu and Vena. Now this Prithu Vena story that comes in the Brahma Purana, the main story it comes in the Srimad Bhagavata Purana, because Prithu, this king, is considered to be an Amshavatara of Lord Vishnu himself, who had come for the well-being of the earth. The first curse is he troubled his father. That's why he was banished from the kingdom. Okay. Now Dhruva's line, we know. Last time itself we saw the first king, first creation of Brahma, Uttanapada. Uttanapada's son was Dhruva. We saw the Dhruva Charitam. So Dhruva Charitram, in Dhruva's line only, in the same lineage, there was a king called Anga. He was very religious, but again his son Vena was not so. So then, like same like this Trayaruni and Satyavrata story. So, and it so happened that Vena's mother, she was Sunita, and she happened to be the daughter of Mrityu. Okay, so it is said that Mrityu, again, Mrityu itself, you hear the word, you know all kinds of evil deeds or death. So this Vena used to spend a lot of time with his mother's relatives. So therefore he had also learned a lot of evil characteristics, unlike his father Anga. Now there are a few people amongst us also who spend a lot of time with our maternal family, right, or maybe paternal family, grandparents or so on. So automatically we get used to the same lifestyle. So your Vena also did the same thing. He spent a lot of time with his mother's family, and that's how he learned a lot of evil ways, and he lived an evil life. So Vena gave up all the religion, he stopped all yajnas, he stopped following all rules, everything. And he told all the subjects that no one else should be worshipped except me. Like Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu said that stop worship. Anything that you do, Hiranyakashipa Ve Namaha, this has to be only chanted, nothing else. Same thing when Veda also started doing. And then there's all the sages come there. Sages led by Marichi, Atri, and so on. Out of the Saptarishis we have Marichi. He comes there and he tries to tell Vena that you please don't do this. You are such a great king. Your father is the great king Anga. If you lead on the good path, surely prosperity will come and touch you. Please do not go on the evil path. So they tried to come and make him understand. But then of course Vena was in no mood. And he said that he made a statement that there is no one equal to me. I am the greatest in the whole universe. And the sages then realized that there is no use in telling this person. And it is said that some punishment has to be given to this, because only if this person is killed, then only something can be done. Now this reference or this story, we have to relate it to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Why so? Krishna also tells the same thing to Arjuna. Now Arjuna, the entire background, if you see of Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, Arjuna Vishadaha, Arjuna talks about this, saying that no, I cannot fight with my own relations, I cannot kill my own teacher, I cannot kill my own brothers, and so on. That is because they are my own relations, they are my own cousins. Even if I win over the war, if there is no one around, with whom will I stay? For what is this kingdom, and so on? If there are no people around, with whom will I enjoy and stay? So then, the same thing. So then Krishna, what he tells is, you have tried your best, you have given your best, you have made them understand. I myself went as a peace messenger, I offered them everything. There also Duryodhana was so foolish between Narayana, Narayani Sena. He chose Narayani Sena and not me myself, Narayana. That's how I came to you. Everything has been done. You have suffered a lot. You went 12 years for Vanavasa, 13th year you lived in disguise. You saw your own wife being attacked and humiliated in court. Everything has been done. Now, when nothing is left, what can be done is, there is no other way, you have to go on the wrong path. If people are doing adharma, you have to follow your dharma. Your dharma is of a kshatriya. If there is no other way to protect your subjects, you must do this. That is, you must take care of yourself and your family and your subjects. Same thing the sages also do here. Sages felt that now there is nothing, no other solution can be done. Therefore, the path of violence has to be taken. Same thing you take in our own families, the same thing happens. A mother now, she might tell the child first in a good way. If a child does something, does a mischief or so, the mother will first tell in a good way. Then the child doesn't listen, she raises her voice a bit. Then maybe she broadens her eyes. Everything she does. But even then, whatever she does, if the child doesn't listen, then maybe she gives it a slap. So it's not that the mother wants to beat the child. It's not with that motive that they do. But if there is no other option, we have to do something violent. So the same thing the sages also do here. Sages, they got hold of Veda and they started beating his right thigh. Now thigh is a place which should never be beaten, or it is said that in whichever part of the body you hit, there are few parts of a body which when we hit, it pains a lot. Right? For example, maybe on our face, if someone slaps us on our face, or maybe it is said that the back of our head, that is the back of our neck, that should never be beaten. It's the most delicate part of the body. Similarly, the thigh should not be beaten, because no destruction should be done to the thigh. Thigh is the part of the body which supports our entire body, right? Between the upper body and the lower body, what supports is a thigh. Therefore, Mahabharata reference, if you take Bhima, the Gada Yuddham that Bhima and Duryodhana do, Bhima hits Duryodhana on the thigh. This is not in the rules of Gada Yuddham, but he had to break. Krishna was born to break rules. Krishna tells Bhima in the sign language, you hit him on his thigh. Uru Bhangam. Uru, the thigh. Bhangam, destruction. Break it there and then. Balarama, who was the guru of Duryodhana in Gada Yuddham. Now, Balarama was the one who was famous for Gada Yuddham. He did not like this at all. He knew who had done this and he got very angry on Krishna. And that is the further Mahabharata story. So therefore, the thigh is a very, very important part of the body. The sages got hold of Vena, they started beating his right thigh. And after beating this right, now sages, they are not warriors. So of course they could not kill Vena, but with whatever they had in hand, maybe sticks and so on, they started beating the thigh of Vena. And from this thigh, a very destructive looking creature came about, a bit dwarf. Small dwarf-like creature comes about. Now, it is not actually a god, Rakshasa or so on, but just a small dwarf-like appearance it came, which was very dark. And sage Atri, who was also present there, he called out Nishida. He told Nishida, Nishida meaning sit here. And from that time onwards, this dwarf was called as Nishada. Nishada, the race of Nishadas. We have, the Nishadas are also considered to be Rakshasas only. Nisha charati iti Nishadaha, meaning the people who roam about during night time. That is Nishadaha. But they are not Rakshasas, Asuras, Nishadas. Though we all consider all this as you can say Rakshasas, a category of Rakshasas, Nishadas are those category of people which are not actually Rakshasas, but they have some, like, and we can consider to an extent tribal people. For example, Guha, childhood friend of Rama, he was a Nishada. Doesn't mean that he was evil, but some qualities, not fully human being. Like for example, none of us, we will kill animals and eat, right? Or we'll make those special sounds like tribal people do, so-called Adivasis as we call. We don't do that, right? So little qualities of Rakshasas or qualities of animals, we can say, they all belong to this Rakshasa category. So Asuras, Rakshasas, Nishacharas, Nishidas, they are all a different category of people. Rakshasas, Asuras, they are proper demons only who cause destruction. Nishadas are not always, they are not destructive in nature, but at the same time they are not full human beings. So this Nishadas, from this dwarf who was called Nishada, started the race of hunters and fishermen. So this is how creation again started growing. This one Nishada was created through the thigh of Vena. That's how the lineage of hunters and fishermen, whom we find out today, that has been created. And they were living in the Vindhya mountains. Vindhyas, that is in the central part of Maharashtra. And the evil that was there in the mind of Vena, that's how all the, that's the reason why in this Nishadas, they were not bad, but little, as I told you, the tribal qualities also. That is because of the evil nature of Vena, all these qualities also came in the Nishadas. That is what is Sitsu. Now further, the sages did not leave Vena there. They started now beating his right arm, right hand, they started beating. So at that time, what came out is Prithu Maharaja came out of his right hand. And he shone like a flaming fire. Now again, Prithu's son, Vena's son is Prithu, we say, but again it's not a biological son because it is an Amshavatara of Lord Vishnu. He emerged through his hand. And he held a bow in his hand. He was very beautiful. And as soon as Prithu was born, Vena died. Now all the rivers, oceans, because we know that Prithu is an Amshavatara of Lord Vishnu himself, all the creation, rivers, trees and so on, oceans came to worship. Even the gods and sages, everyone came there for the coronation of Prithu, because now Vena the king had died. Now Prithu Maharaja, he has to be made the king. So his coronation had done. And from here is where all the creations had got a leader. In the 10th chapter of the Gita, if you say Aditya Anamaham and so on, it starts from there. That is, the ocean was made the lord of rivers, Chitraratha was made the leader of Gandharvas, Vasuki was made the leader of Nagas, Takshaka was made the leader of Sarpas, Garuda was made the leader of birds, Airavata was made the leader of elephants, Uchchaishtavaha was made the leader of horses, and the Ashwatha tree, that is a banyan tree, was made the leader of all trees, and so on. So from when did all this start? Like today also, king of birds we say Garuda. Who had decided this? Prithu Maharaja has decided this in the Brahma Purana after he was made the king. Further, Prithu, he ruled the earth very well, and earth was laden with food grains. I told you in the previous, when we were talking about Trishankundi, I told you, he raised Prithvi as his daughter, and the cows were full of milk. There was no, the drought conditions, famine conditions, the kingdom did not have anything like this at all. Everything was just happy. King Prithu also, he performed a sacrifice. He used to perform sacrifices. He used to do a lot of devotion, administration. He used to work for his subjects. No subject was ever unhappy during this time. And further, it is said that there were many people who used to come and praise Prithu even at a young age. Now, usually, why this has been told, usually when do we talk good about people? Usually now when we say that, okay, stuti, when we sing. Now, for whom do we sing stuti? For the Lord, right? Now, why do we sing so? Say, for example, Krishna stuti, we sing, okay, I'm praising about Krishna. How can I praise about Krishna? Only when he has done some 10 good things, I can praise. Now, when I'm praising about something, okay, he has killed this demon, he has killed that demon, he has done this, he has done that, we can keep on talking about the glories of the Lord, right? Of Krishna, Rama, and so on. Or any great people, like, say, for example, you consider any of our freedom fighters and so on. Why can we speak more about them? Because they have done so many things. So, based on the activities that they have done, we can talk about them. So, people, you started talking about Prithu even when he was very young. So, he had just started ruling his kingdom, but still people kept on talking about him. At the young age of 30 or so, when he had just become the king also, people started speaking and started glorifying him. So how come? This is so because at a very young age, even though his father was very evil, he did not even know who was his father. He had just heard. Because we know when Vena's right arm was pierced, Prithu came out the same moment Vena died. And again so nobody, again, no upbringing, nothing was being done. But still, in spite of all that, though Prithu was an Amshavatara of Vishnu, still he led a very good life right from the beginning. Even without proper guidance of his own father, still he ruled the kingdom very well. That too, with history being evident, Vena had not done everything. So he had to start everything from scratch because the whole world was in destruction. I told you the story of Earth also. Earth also, though she had everything, she had buried everything in herself. She had not provided everything. So she had not provided anything because Vena had used all this for evil activities. So Prithu had to start everything from scratch, and even then by doing all that, putting in a lot of efforts, all the people in his kingdom, all the subjects were very happy. So therefore Prithu's stutis used to be sung right when he was very young. Now further he said that so all this was being done, Prithu was also happy. So the people used to, so one fine day it so happened that the subjects used to come and they told that all this is fine, but then everyone is singing your praises, you have done a lot of good things, we hear, but then still we are finding it very difficult to make a living. The subjects used to say, we are not getting proper food grains and so on. Prithu gets angry. Prithu says that no, I have provided everything. The earth also has listened, she has also started growing everything she is providing. But still the people say that no, there are not much regular rains that are taking place. Food grains are not giving produce. They are there but not sufficient to make a living. Prithu gets very angry. He decides to kill the earth. And at that time the earth, she assumed the form of a cow and she started running here and there. And the cow, wherever the cow ran, Prithu also kept following her. So all through the earth, Prithu followed the cow with a bow and arrow in his hand to the heaven, underworld, earth, everywhere they ran. And finally, the earth was tired. She prayed to the king saying that, King, please, you control your anger. I am a woman. If you kill me, it is going to incur sin for you only. And your subjects also will dread you, will talk evil about you because you have killed a woman. Then Prithu told her that, you tell me some solution because this is now you must not do because all the subjects are coming complaining. You are providing food grains, but if it is not sufficient for the people, then surely I must find out a way to kill you. If you are having everything, in spite of that you are not giving, what is the reason for this? Then it is said so that the earth told that whatever I have already given. But during the times of your father Vena, there was no development that was being done. There is no proper agriculture that was being done, no proper road leveling, no proper land leveling, nothing of this sort has been done. There is no proper maintenance activities were being done. That is why I cannot give my best. So this is from this time itself. Today whatever we practice, animal husbandry or agriculture or even the roads that we level about or different maintenance activities that we do. For our own house also we do, right? New house I build, but after 10 years you have to do some repairing activity, we do some painting activities and so on. all this has to be done. From where has all this started? That is from this place, from this incident wherein Prithvi herself, Earth herself goes and tells Prithu Maharaja that only the earth, it's not that once I am born I can always keep doing everything. Lot of maintenance activities have to be done. The king, the leader of the land has to do something so that I can always flourish properly. Prithu realizes this, and from this time onwards he says that no, I will ensure that all maintenance activities are done, proper agriculture, animal husbandry, everything can be done. The villagers also can use the land for growing crops, etc. Nothing will be littered. That's why even today we speak about cleanliness. Why should the earth be kept clean? Today we boast about cleanliness. Prithu did the same thing in those times as per the Brahma Purana. So Prithu comes and tells, and Prithu declares that from today onwards you will be called as my daughter. I regard you as my daughter, Prithvi. That's how Prithvi, this name has come for the earth from this Prithu Maharaja. And it is said that this earth had assumed the form of a cow. Prithu himself milked the earth in the form of a cow, and all the food grains, everything he took out from by milking, by selling this produce. He himself had first started this activity of animal husbandry. That's why later in the Srimad Bhagavata also we find Krishna himself being a Gopalaka. So all these activities that we find of growing crops, farmer, this line of farmers that we have, this profession of farmers that we have, profession of dairymen that we have, people selling milk and milk products, all this reference, from where has it come? It has come from the Brahma Purana. Who started this? Who started something called agriculture? Today in India, even today, if you take 70% of the population is engaged in agriculture, we say. From where has it started? So how do we regard the earth, at least in India? How much we have to respect the earth that has been shown. That is Bhuma Devi. We consider Bhuma Devi also as a consort of Lord Vishnu. We do a lot of worship to her. Her importance has been shown. And second learning for all of us from this incident of the Brahma Purana through the story of Prithvi is just creating or making something new and fresh for the first time is not enough. Maintenance is very, very important. It can be physical or mental. That's why the Brahma Purana now, if you listen once, that doesn't mean that you close and now come again next Saturday. You have to revise that thoroughly again and come. Only then, if we maintain that in our minds, only then we can remember it properly. So that is the reason we have the concept of practicing and revision, maintenance and so on. It has started from this story of Prithu Maharaja and Prithvi. Okay. So there are a few more stories that we have to see from the Brahma Purana. Today time is almost up. Let's not start with something. We will continue in the